Oh, isn't technology fun? Yes, that's what it is. Fun is what I call it. It's great when it works, Gianni, and we appreciate those of you guys hanging around here. We're back while we work through the technical difficulties, but we still have plenty of information to roll out with you guys. Gianni the Greek here. Don't forget, the address is on the screen, guys. The Steam Room coming up top of the hour for free. WT.buzz/SR2125. That's the address. That's how you join. Gianni will have you guys all day long because we got plenty going on. And Gianni, we had Sean's question up prior for everything blowing up on us. But the whole question had to center around, when do you stop riding a streak on a team like Missouri in college hoops right now in the first half? Do you try to get in front of it? Do you just ride it until it doesn't win anymore? What do you do with situations like that?
You get ahead of it and fade it if you like that side. You don't blindly do it just expecting the regression, because again, if it's not something that's hurting the books, it may take a while before the market corrects itself. And unless you see the betting syndicates blasting that first half and crushing them, it's probably not going to happen for a little bit. But you don't want to blindly ride it either. You want to be leaning that side. Now, if it's something that's hurting the books, rest assured, it will regress quicker or progress quicker because they're going to shade it towards that bias to help move that along even quicker. And real quickly, just like I was saying, we have the Steam Room, and here's why. While that happened, just in those couple minutes that we went offline, here's what we bet. I'm going to share this with you. This is another group that I work with. So if you see anything that contradicts what I gave earlier, that shows you these guys are betting numbers, and they hope when the dust settles, they place nothing plus EV bets, and that's how they turn a profit pretty much year in and year out. Here we go. Here's the added bets that came in that we got down on while that was happening. 6-11 Creighton plus 2.5, 3 and plus 2.5. They were willing to buy up to 125 to get that half point on 3. They also took the 2.5 on Creighton. 6-13 over 140.5. Georgia State, Appalachian State. 6-35 East Carolina plus 3. 6-39 South Dakota State minus the 7. 6-44 Toledo minus 14. 6-56 UAB minus 11. Added board game 306 625 Upstate plus 13. 12.5 also. And the under 147.5 in that game. And finally, Bucknell in the added games plus 3. Goes to show you a perfect example of how much action these groups are firing in college basketball, because they just believe they have such an edge. They're going to take advantage of it. Like, for a recreational bettor, it sounds crazy that these guys place 40, 50 bets on a Saturday. That's not even counting the second halves and all the other crazy stuff. But for them, it's just about placing good bets. And when I play blackjack, I'm looking for the fastest dealer, because if I find a fast dealer and I go one-on-one, I can get between 150 and 200 bets an hour. So in 4 hours, I'm making between 600 and 800 bets. That's how you get to the long term quickly. That's how you see it in real time. So that's how these guys operate. They know their edge is small, but they find it and they just keep firing. They don't care which game wins, which game loses, because again, you could place a great bet and it could lose. You could place a terrible bet and it could win. Their focus is on placing good bets, and when all the dust settles, they almost more times than not find themselves ahead. So don't be overwhelmed by the volume. Instead, narrow it down. That's why I said come into the Steam Room already with your leans. Have the odds logic screen up, WagerTalk odds screen up. And we're going to be rock and rolling in there for like 2 hours. And any questions, bring them. Any questions about a game, any questions about sports betting, anything, I'm there. I work for you. I work for you today. So come on in, join us, keep it in the background, no matter what you're doing, and hopefully we all make some money.
Gianni, can't wait to talk to you all throughout the week as we lead up to the big game. And of course, if you guys have questions for Gianni, head over to the Steam Room, guys. Coming up here in just about 28 minutes, top of the hour. It is for free. And again, if you guys are joining us in the chat rooms, it is pinned, I believe, there. You can see it in the chat rooms on YouTube. If not, we will make sure to flash that on the screen for you guys so you can join him as he gets ready to bestow some knowledge on you today. And we're planning on doing the same damn thing here as we continue to roll through our main man in the house, the man that refuses to lose, Skee Profit. ready to roll here today because Skee, what a college basketball slate, 143 games going on, man. We do have a handful of NBA. We'll get to see if you have any interest in those games, but with this many college hoops games, my man, kick us off. Tell us what you're looking at here today.
I hope it's not like in sports where the announcer jinxes him, says he hasn't missed a free throw or he hasn't missed a kick, and then and then they come in and you know what happens. So I'll do my best. But we got one starting in 30 minutes, 20 something minutes, big game, Florida and Tennessee. This one, more than X's and O's, is more like a situational thing for me. You have Tennessee coming off 2 straight losses here at the house, taking on Florida. It's a game that you can expect to get their best effort. And I think they bounce back. They've been a really good team. If I look in the database, you look at teams in this situation, ranked teams off back-to-back, ranked home favorites off back-to-back losses versus a ranked opponent. They win about 77% of the time. They cover about 63%. So over there in Knoxville, I think you can't go wrong with Tennessee this morning.
Yeah, Tennessee, it was a little over, I think a month ago, January 7th, Skee. Tennessee was undefeated, came into Gainesville, and they got their ass handed to them by Florida. So, 73 to 43. Woo, wasn't even close. Now they get them at home in this one here. So this should be extremely interesting on this one here. What else are you looking at here today? Any other games? I know you've been some first halves totals at all. What are you looking at here?
I'll shout out just a couple ones. I'm not the long-winded breakdown guy, especially for college, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Joe. You should probably know it before I say it. I've only been betting it for a few years, but it's Houston first half -6. They're going up against Texas Tech. And really the thought process or the reason, like regardless of matchup, is the defense that Houston plays is just, it's just so aggressive. Like a lot of teams aren't used to playing that. So when they see it for the first 20 minutes, it takes a while for them to get used to it. Houston in the second half of the games, either teams are already used to it or they just take their foot off the gas and might not always cover the full game number. But first 20 minutes seeing that defense, I'll trust it every time, especially with Kelvin Sampson having those boys ready. So Houston first half -6 is a go for me. I also looked at Michigan and Rutgers. Michigan, a team that likes to play really fast. I can't remember exactly who they were playing, but it was a few games ago, maybe like a handful of games ago. The coach kind of mentioned after a loss it was too. He was like, we're not the kind of team that likes to get into a slugfest, a slow-paced game. Like we want to get out and go and run. And they're a team that usually scores like closer to 80 points in the first half. So seeing that first half number at 73 versus a Rutgers team who much more offensive than defensive. Bailey has been on fire. I would expect that to continue. And hopefully Golden can get back in rhythm and play a little bit better. So I like first half over 73 in that game as well. Those are a couple that stand out to me right now.
Yeah. Michigan -4.5. What do we got there, Lewis? Michigan State, versus USC. Did you look at that game at all, Skee? I don't know that I'm getting in front of that Michigan State bandwagon at all. They are a train that I thought should have lost a lot more games than they have already, but they just keep winning, taking on SC, who, quite honestly, I don't think we can trust in a big game like this. I think Michigan State probably rolls them here. It's not that big a number. It is on the road, though, Skee. Were you leaning one way or another in that one, or did you pass on it?
No, surprisingly, USC has not been a team that I've watched too much this season. So I didn't really pay too much attention here. One thing I'll say is I like teams more that can shoot the ball well, and Michigan State is not one of those teams. They're ranked 348 in three-point percentage. So I would try to find as many reasons as I can to fade them, depending on the number. So like I said, I didn't even really look at this game. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't even know what the spread is, but that is what I don't like about Michigan State.
Then that's why I think they've won some games they probably shouldn't have won, Skee, but they're going to get caught. You can't be that bad shooting the basketball, especially from the outside, and keep winning games. That's tough going out west like that as well. So Plenty of college hoops games. Skee, a handful of NBA games here tonight. Was there one game that you looked at that you might have been leaning towards, props or sides totals?
Yeah, I wish my there we go. My eye screen was freezing up, but it's working now. So
Ooh.
I mean, I looked at the entire card. There are a few things that stand out to me. I'll go with this. Denver and Charlotte.
Ooh.
I understand completely. Like this Charlotte team without LaMelo, they lack a little bit of pace. It hurts the offense without him out there on the court, and they've been struggling to score in a couple of their last 4 games. But they've also played some good defenses. Like if you look at last night, they played the Clippers, and they were able to put a 104 with them, or 104 against them, shooting 23% from three. Now they come into this game and face a Denver defense that hasn't really been able to stop anybody. I believe they're the third worst defensive rated team last 5 games. I think allowing like close to 123 points per game. So if they could score 104 versus a good Clippers defense shooting 23% from three, I think that the shooting can come a little bit back to norm, and they can get even more than that. And they only have to contribute a little bit. Like the way the Nuggets have been playing, it's extremely up tempo. The offense is efficient. They've cleared 230 plus in 5 straight games. I think Jokic can really do what he wants here. Mark Williams, I'll try to update this. He was out the past couple games. If he does play tonight, I mean, obviously it would help their interior defense, but Jokic will still have his way with them. And if he doesn't, it'll just be Taj Gibson down there. And he's past his time, man. He's barbecue chicken for Joker. It'll be layups and buckets towards the rim all night. So I think Denver can name their number. I think Charlotte can put up their share of points versus Denver defense. I like over 222.5.
Liking the over. All right, I got to ask you, Skee. There is no way in the world I would possibly be on the show without you, without ripping your Lakers. So let's talk about the Lakers and the Knicks here quick, because I've already heard Gianni was on earlier, and because we can make fun of my Miami Heat too, who've got the Spurs later, which is another interesting. Who had Spurs dropping 144 last night on Milwaukee on their bingo card? Because I sure as hell didn't. I thought the over was a good call, but I did not see Milwaukee not showing up like that. But the Lakers were seeing some over money against the Knicks, and I guess that listen, the Knicks have been dropping 140 points, Skee, like nobody's business here. Do we trust the Lakers and the Knicks to put enough together? It feels like a low number in the 220s. What do we think you're going to get here from a total perspective?
Well, first off, what you mentioned, I'm thankful to get there with my team total on Milwaukee yesterday, because I chose that instead of the spread. The spread wasn't even close. Yep. So I'm thankful for that. As far as Lakers and Knicks, I would question, is the money coming in on the over? It opened 227.5, is down as low as 224. Obviously, it's probably some injury stuff. I'm refreshing here. So I'm looking on the Lakers side. We know Anthony Davis is out. He's going to be out for a little bit. No Reddish. For this one, though, you might be able to get, actually, Dorian Finney-Smith is probable. Gabe Vincent is probable. In their last game, they had both of those guys out. And the first thing that came to my mind is, it's already no AD, no defense. But then you get no Vincent and DFS. I was like, there's really nobody out there playing defense. So in this game, if they get those guys back, they will have a little bit, but they still don't have the rim protection. So just a combination of that and just the easiness. Like Knicks have been put, without even looking at it, they've scored 140 something, 120 something, I think 140 something again. Like they can absolutely destroy this Lakers team. It will be over a pass for me, even though the number is coming down. Maybe even if you don't want to trust the Lakers to play, or if you trust the Knicks defense, maybe just go Knicks team total. But I wouldn't be playing it under in this game. It's over or nothing for me.
I'm with you, man. It feels like that's the only way to roll there. What do you do with a team like the Spurs that dropped 144 last night, Skee, at home, taking on Miami, who's got the rest, right? You got San Antonio, who was obviously feeling it here. Do we trust a San Antonio team on the second of a back-to-back at home? Say what you want about the Jimmy Butler situation. Miami still got some guys that can shoot. Another over? I don't know how to look at this game. Or do you think Miami just slows this thing to a crawl?
Well, I would. my question would be, what can we trust this Miami team? Like, I really
Oof.
don't want too much to do with them until this whole Jimmy Butler situation is over. Like, I want him to
Yep.
be gone, the vibes to be good around there, everything. I just don't feel like that's the case right now, and it makes it hard for me to bet on them. For the Spurs, now it's they've had a couple games since in a couple days or a few days since they've came back from France. Jet lag is over, etc., etc. Yes, they're playing on a back to back, but was it really that taxing? I mean, they won what 144 to 118, so I think they
Yep.
still have some in the tank. This Spurs defense has looked pretty poor recently, but I also think that will start to improve. They got Sohan back, and it really when he was out of the lineup, the defense just went to shit. So him coming back, the jet lag being over, etc. I think that the Spurs defense will show up, and I would only bet the Spurs here. Like they're the team I trust more right now. So lean Spurs, waiting and seeing what's going to happen with
Yeah.
Miami.
I agree. The good news is I'm being told Rozier took the Spurs too. I don't know if that helps, Skee, but I'm maybe a little too soon there. But I am just throwing that one. I am just throwing that one out there. Tell me and tell the folks up in the chat room. By the way, R1L Steve Merril coming up here, guys. You got questions for him? College, NBA, get him ready. He'll rattle off a whole bunch of top 25 games for you. Also, I just got the message from Art the Caesar at the Westgate. All of the book's needs today in college hoops. I'll share that with you. But Skee, at your page at WagerTalk today, what are we loaded up on? And do you have anything locked loaded already for the Super Bowl?
Well, I'll shout out Art the Caesar as well. He's always back there working, even if you don't see him. And, I'm really shouting him out, too, because he's a nice guy. It was one of my friends who came around and said they watched the show. They see him. They just wanted to say hi. And he was nice enough to come out and say hi and have a conversation with them. So shout out to Art for that. For myself, things have been going really good lately. January, we ended up a little bit above 57 units. College has been on fire. I know my top plays in college, 3% or higher. We've hit 14 out of 15 this season. I do have 2 going tonight. NBA, we're coming off of a sweep there. So I do have a deal on my page. I believe it's until tomorrow. If you want to get college basketball and NBA for the next 30 days, it's $209. The 30-day for college basketball is $179, I believe. So you'll get NBA for just $1 a day on top of that. It comes out to, maybe I'm not doing the math correct, I think it was $7 a day, or it was 7 or 11. So if you want to be involved while I'm on fire, I'm streaky, now is the time to do it at WagerTalk.
I love it, man. Awesome stuff, Skee. Keep rolling, brother. Don't forget, Houston, first half. If it ain't broke, damn it, we ain't fixing it, Skee. That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate it, brother. Cash them tickets as always, man. Great job, man. He is absolutely on fire, guys. Skee Profit, college basketball, NBA. Definitely worth heading over to his page at WagerTalk.com. All right, so before we get Steve R1L Merril in the house, get your questions ready. I'm going to ask you guys to do us a favor. Of course, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. No idea what the hell you've been waiting for, but we would appreciate it all together. Those of you new here at Last Call and Wager Talk, what we try to do here on this show Saturday and Sundays is kind of hear from the book in the Westgate with Art the Seer or John Murray. They join us each and every Saturday and Sunday, and they kind of tell us what their needs are and what the bets coming in are. And today, Art was nice enough to send us over what he's looking at. And right now, he is saying the sharp sides in some of these college basketball games coming up is, in order, Washington +5, starting to see some sharp money come in on Washington because, well, let's face it, Washington having a hard time winning games lately. In fact, they're not winning a whole lot of them, which seems to be the big problem there. But Washington is +5. Florida has been getting crushed at +5. He's saying it is now down to 3.5, depending on where you're looking. So Florida has been getting a ton of sharp money. And again, that game also coming up here at the top of the hour in just about 15 minutes. Tarleton State getting a little bit of love from the pros right now at -5. Hawaii is another sharp side that's been getting crushed here. They were at -11. I'm going to imagine that one has come off of -11 at this point because it's been getting hammered all morning long. So those are the sharp sides: Washington, Florida, Tarleton State, and Hawaii. As far as the public seems to be, according to Art DeCesar over at the Westgate, public all over Arizona. They are all over Creighton. They are all over Wisconsin. And Art's favorite play of the day, by the way, is that Michigan-Rutgers over. You heard Skee talk about how he liked the over in the first half of that Michigan-Rutgers game. Art DeCesar's favorite play today, up and over the full game total in that one there. So there you go. We appreciate Art taking the time to share that knowledge with us, and we appreciate Double R 1L Steve Merril in the house here, dropping by to answer your questions here today. A few games today, Merril, 146 college basketball games, ton of top 25 action, a handful of, we were just talking with Skee on the NBA slate as well, and I thought of you, Merril. Get ready, because there's a lot of pitchers and catchers roaming around my neck of the woods here, which is Major League Baseball just around the corner as well here. But talk to me. We got a ton of questions coming in here today. And Clemson over NC State, to cover over NC State. We can start there. Just as good a spot as any here. Clemson, I'm seeing -5, Merril, 131.5. Clemson at North Carolina State, 130 tip-off on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps out to you about the ACC in general is how bad it's been this year. You know, the last couple years, they've been getting weaker. It was really, you know, what UNC, Duke, and maybe Virginia the last few seasons were the only teams. Tony Bennett Jets, Larinaga leaves Miami. They're basically winless. I mean, they both saw the writing on the wall. And then the UNC plays Duke today. That'll be a very interesting test, but Duke's a double-digit favorite. So you take the Blue Devils out of the equation, there's not a lot to work with in the ACC. But Clemson right now is 30th in the net rating. So I guess if you had to say there's one team maybe that has some life in this conference, it is the Clemson Tigers, who would have thought they maybe would have a better basketball season than football season. Kind of crazy because, they made the Sweet 16 in football, but they really didn't deserve to be there. As far as the matchup in this game, I do think Clemson's the better team at both ends of the court. NC State not even top 100 offense or defensive efficiency. They hung close with Duke earlier this week, if you recall. I don't know if you saw an Exo, Joe. They had one of the Duke players vomiting on the court. That often helps when you're a big underdog if the other team is throwing up. I don't think NC State's that good. I think it's an outclass situation here. I like Clemson.
Yeah, I like Clemson too, but they'll be able to lock down the under, maybe even an NC State team total under in that one. Clemson's defense pretty darn good here. I'm also seeing, and maybe this might be an interesting nugget here with Tennessee. It looks like there is a question on whether Zakai Zeigler is going to play in this game for Tennessee, which might explain the huge move, Merril. 5.5 down to 3.5. There are some questions, and it does look like, in fact, he has been ruled out for today's game.
Correct.
So that could very well be why we saw that big move towards Florida within the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I know Dan's got the graphic ready, but the odds logic screen, you heard Gianni mention it, you heard Skee mention it. I'm going to mention it as well because it has real-time live injuries. You know, the WagerTalk free odds screen is nice, but you don't get the real-time injuries. You don't get the quick score updates. On this link right here, you can try it for the next 7 days. Why not start today with over 100 basketball games? Oddslogic.com/SM. You get a free 7-day trial. This is what I'm using right now. You will see that he's been downgraded to out. The sports books have this behind the counter. This is why the lines move. So once again, if you want a professional level product, if you want to try it for free, oddslogic.com/SM, that special link that's on the screen right now. And yes, he's been ruled out. And this line went from 4 last night to 5, Joe, and then back down to 3 today when he was ruled out around 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But let's put this in perspective. He's like 8th or 9th on the team in effective offensive efficiency. He shoots 28% from three-point range, taking the second most threes on the team. And he shoots 4 for 19, 21% from long twos this season. He's one of the worst shooters on the team. So we're lowering it a point or so. Now, what's interesting is the total did go up about a point. I think that makes perfect sense because he's a bad offensive player. He is one of the better defensive players, and that's why the line moved. But look, this is still a loaded team. And I talked about this game in my top 25 video yesterday, and it's still right here on WagerTalk TV. The 5 biggest games, free plays in all of them. Click subscribe, click that bell. And I like Tennessee. They're off back-to-back losses, one of the better teams in the country still. And then on top of that, they've got 30-point revenge from a loss against Florida a month earlier last month in January. So with or without him, whatever, he's not worth a point of the line. And this is a typical overreaction to injury information. You have to dig deeper. Yes, he's a good defender, but I actually think they'll be a better team offensively without him today.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. 145.5 here, and I think the total correlates to who you like, Merril. If you think Tennessee wins this game outright, it's a dead under. If you think Florida runs away with it, don't forget, although that last game was an absolute mauling when they played in Gainesville back on January 7th. So I think Tennessee might have learned a little something from that one there. Of course, the game a lot of folks have been talking about, and listen, I give Kentucky all the credit in the world for that win in Tennessee last game during the week, Merril, because, boy, it was heading the wrong way for Mark Pope and company there. But now they win that game, and now they welcome in their former coach, who is absolutely waiting to be booed at Rupp. I mean, the guy only went 410 and 132 in 20 years, but yeah, let's boo him. He only won, 75% of the games that he coached there, but yeah, that's not good enough. He also did win a national championship. But I think Brad's question is interesting because how often does a coach return to the school that he won nearly 80% of the damn games that he coached there? But will he go there and win and possibly cover this game with this Arkansas team?
I would say on the surface, normally you could say this is not a good scheduling spot for Kentucky. One of the reasons you just mentioned, though, they won outright as a 10.5-point dog at Tennessee on Tuesday, and they have a look-ahead game at Mississippi this coming Tuesday, in which they'll likely be an underdog also against a top 30 team. So you've got here a double-digit favorite sandwiched between two road dog situations. Normally this would be a fade spot, but then you bring in the fact that Calipari's coming back. I looked it up, by the way. The top 6 players, efficiency-wise, on Kentucky's roster right now did not play there last year. So there's really nobody on this roster that was there last year. That's not a surprise with Kentucky. Because my initial thought was maybe Calipari has a little bit of an edge knowing the players, knowing how to defend them. I don't think that'll be the issue. But I do think Arkansas probably has the emotional edge in this game. And can they keep it close is the question. Look, it's not been a good season for Calipari. They're just 1-6 in conference play. And to put that in perspective, Joe, when the season began, what did they get off to? I believe it was like a 12-2 start, and they've gone 1-6 now since in conference play. So things are not going better when stepping up in class. I don't think they want to run with Kentucky. Kentucky's a very fast-paced team. They got 78 against Tennessee. That was Tennessee's maybe second worst defensive showing of the season, by the way. That's another reason Tennessee lost that game. Another reason I do like the under, Florida team total under, because I do think Tennessee locks down the D back at home. But I think the only chance Arkansas has to maybe keep it close is to slow it down, ugly it up. And I think Calipari's smart enough to do that. However, if Kentucky gets out and runs, the wheels could come off here. Definitely seen this total jumping around a bit. It's currently 155. And once again, if you check the oddslogic.com/SM free offer, it's 158 down to 155. So there has been sharp money on the under here. I think that's the mindset that Calipari doesn't want to get into a track meet.
Yeah, no, and I can't blame them here. I wouldn't want to do that either with them at Rupp Arena. Still one of the tougher places to play in the country here. I'm kind of usually Baylor has been head scratching to me this year. Plenty of talent, but they can't play on the road. They're pretty good at home. The only problem is they got Kansas coming to town, and Kansas once again looking as the dog here, Merril. And how many? I can't remember the last time we've had Kansas as a dog in as many games as we've had them this year. It feels like, wait a minute, Bill Self and Kansas are getting point. Well, they're getting a handful of points, it looks like, in this one here. But Baylor has been bet on at home, fade on the road. What are we doing here, Merril?
Yeah, this is still a very good Kansas team. I mean, their net rating is top 11, I think. Baylor's actually the team that's down a little bit this season. But once again, you look at these situational setups at this point of the season, I always kind of start leaning towards the home teams. And as far as the money move in this game, too, it's something to keep an eye on. Normally, the sharp bettors understand that home teams in conference play now with the students back have an edge. We'll see if that plays out this way in this game or not, but I think the home side is probably the safer play.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I mean, Baylor hasn't shown an ability to be able to beat the better teams yet either. They have been pretty decent at home, but Kansas, who was playing nothing but unders, Merril, all of a sudden starting to run with some teams, picking up the tempo a little bit. Maybe an over in this one might not be a bad look either. We also have, what about Marquette and UConn? I keep hearing about stick a fork in UConn. It's over. They're talking about firing, the coach, which I think is hilarious that Hurley all of a sudden can't coach. The team is terrible. Marquette laying what, Merril, now? 6.5 in this one? What do we trust Marquette to win by margin in this one?
So this is part of my top 25 video. I've mentioned that there's 5 big top 25 games this weekend, and I will say there's an asterisk next to this one because UConn is lucky to be a top 25 team. They're barely in the rankings right now. In fact, they are 25th in the top 25, and they don't even deserve to be there because if you look at the net ratings right now, they're in the mid-30s. The only reason this UConn team is even ranked, like you just said, Joe, is because of name alone. I mean, this is the defending national champs. They obviously have potential there still. But net rating-wise, they're really on the outside looking in. So there's a reason why Marquette is favored. Now, this line was 6.5 overnight when I did the video. It has come down to 6 in most locations. Liam McNeely is the question. This is the guy that's been in and out for them. He's really their key, their big forward. He's been upgraded to questionable as of yesterday. So there's 50-50 that he might be in the lineup. A lot of uncertainty there, but I'm going to stay away from the side for that reason. I will look at the total in this one. I think we can actually get a sneaky over here. I know UConn plays extremely slow. They're like in the 330s in tempo. But one thing that UConn is very good at still is offense this season. Their defense has been the problem. They're outside the top 100 in defensive efficiency. So that's where they need to shore things up. But offensively, they're one of the top 10, 15 teams in the country still. If you look at them overall in quality effectiveness, they're like 14th. They're actually the better offensive team in this game. So I think they might play a little bit faster than expected. Marquette does like up-tempo. And they're the home team. They're the favorite. They should be able to control tempo and pace. And I think UConn will follow suit. And the other thing I'll point out is that if UConn gets behind, which they probably will as a 6-point dog, they need to play a little bit faster. So let's not worry about McCullough. Let's not look at the side here. Let's look at the total. And by the way, it's dropped from 146 down to 143.5. So I do think there's some value now with the over in this game at 8 Eastern. National TV game on Fox tonight.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. I did see a question, I believe, Wisconsin and Northwestern, I believe, was the question there, and who we like in that one. And I apologize if I forgot who it was that dropped that question in there. But at least I do think. Thoughts on Wisconsin, Northwestern areas there, I believe, in the YouTube Shorts feed there. What are you thinking about Wisconsin? I mean, Northwestern kind of got boat race last game out here. What do we think we're going to get here against Wisconsin?
I mean, the thing about Wisconsin is they used to play so slow, right? And Northwestern always plays slow. They're in the 300s, but that's not the case anymore. Wisconsin's right at 150. They're in the upper half of tempo. It's not your dad's and my dad's Wisconsin, and they're a really good offensive team. They're one of the top 10 offensive efficiency teams in the country. Defensively, these teams are pretty equal, but I do think Wisconsin has the offensive edge in this one. It really comes down to who can control tempo and pace. Obviously, Northwestern's going to want to slow things down. As I said, Wisconsin does play faster than they have in years past. So I think the side and total are somewhat correlated in this one. I don't have a play on this game, but I think Wisconsin to the over on the road would be worth a look. Northwestern to the under. And by the way, for what it's worth, Sharp Money definitely likes Wisconsin in this game. It's gone from 1.5 up to 4.5. Total is held steady at 142. Once again, if that sharp move is correct with Wisconsin, that probably favors the over as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Also, Merril, we're getting, of course, Tobacco Road, right? UNC taking on Duke at Duke here. It feels like there's only one way to look here. If you're playing, are you laying here, or do you think North Carolina just getting too many darn points here?
So I did the top 25 video, and this game was not even in it because, once again, like UConn, North Carolina's not even ranked. UConn's lucky to be ranked, and I mentioned how bad the ACC is. Duke is the only good team in the ACC. Really wanted to do a solo video on this one, Joe, because it is a spotlight game, but I really couldn't come up with a strong opinion. My initial thought was, Duke is going to smoke them, right? Because it's a focus spot. It's a rivalry. They're the best team. And I would say if you're going to play it, you lay it. That would be my only opinion here still, like you said, is Duke. But what kept me off of this, even as a free video opinion, is just that I don't know what to make of North Carolina. I took a stab with them a week ago on Saturday as a 19-point favorite against Boston College. Yeah, they won the game by 6 in overtime. 19-point favorite. It couldn't even win in regulation. That's obviously a huge red flag when a team vastly underperforms like that. And then they go up to Pittsburgh on Tuesday and they lose outright on the road. So they have not won a game in regulation in their last 4. And now you're asking them to beat one of the best teams in the country. So it'd be Duke or pass for me. But what kept me off it is the fact that these rival games, as you know, can get fishy sometimes. And if there's a game in which UNC maybe does step up, I wouldn't be shocked to see it this game. But otherwise, Duke should roll by double digits.
Yeah, you would think it should not be an issue there. Also, of course, the number 1 team playing here today, Auburn, Merril, in a interesting spot. All they seem to do is win, but they're taking on Ole Miss in Ole Miss, Chris Beard and company. He's trying to right the ship here. They're getting 6 at home. Do we trust them to cover or stay within what basically Auburn, defensively and offensively, whether Broom is playing or he's not playing, this is a pretty darn good team, is it not?
Yeah, this Auburn team I do rate as the best team in the country. I think they're like second in some of the net ratings and efficiencies and whatnot, but they're really balanced. And I think they are the team to beat. And what I like about them is they just don't have any weaknesses. With that said, though, you're not going to win every game. They've lost 1 game this season. By the way, that came to Duke way back in early December. They lost to Duke on the road. So Duke is a really good team. I think Auburn is as well. This should be a focused spot, but once again, Ole Miss at home as a dog is dangerous. So I think the total might be the better play here. And I like the under. I actually used this in my top 25 videos, the free play for this game. And once again, deep dive for all 5 top 25s and some bonus games as well. Saturday, also some Sunday videos. Click subscribe, click the bell here for instant alerts. And one thing I point out about the under here is, yes, Auburn is probably the best, most efficient offense in the country, but they're really good defensively as well. They're a top 10 offensive efficiency team. They're also top 10 in effective field goal defense. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is not even top 50 offensive efficiency, and that's why, even though it's a live dog, they make me a little nervous. But what they are very good at is defense as well. I think both defenses match up here. Something else I'll point out is that neither team turns the ball over. There's 364 teams in Division I college basketball. These teams rank 3rd and 7 in turnover percentage, low turnover percentage. So once again, there's not going to be any quick breakaway layups from turnovers or pressing, anything like that. And both teams are middle of the pack pace. Auburn doesn't play nearly as fast as they have in years past. And I think Ole Miss, once again, as the home dog, will not want to play fast. They'll slow things down. I like the under in this game, and we get plenty of wiggle room. It's a fairly high total, and I think in a Class A playoff atmosphere like here, defense wins out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Also, interesting one, I believe I saw this, Bill Sandoval in the chat room. Shout out, Bill. One of the more under-the-radar games here, Merril, is in the CAA, or what used to be the CAA anymore. I don't even know. Campbell is absolutely shooting teams out of the gym. They have a rematch against the Hofstra Pride coming up here today, and they just beat them last Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. They held them to 31 points in the second half and overtime. I mean, you look at what they're covering. They've covered 4 straight by 20, 22, 8. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 of their last 5 by 11 or more. Are we stepping in front of Campbell here? I think they can. I don't like Hofstra. I don't trust Hofstra. They've lost 8 of the last 11. Feels like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Merril.
Yeah, Bill's a loyal viewer, and he always wants to ask me about the William Mary game. They don't play today. They play on Monday.
Yes.
Huge game at home Monday night, national TV against Charleston. But I know why Bill's asking about Campbell, and you didn't even realize this, Joe. It's another question about William Mary, because who did Campbell just blow out by 41 on Thursday?
I didn't want to say
that was the Tribe. William Mary was a 2.5-point road favorite in that game Thursday.
Yeah.
I turned on the radio in the second half to listen to it, and Campbell hit a 3 out of the second half break, and the score was 41 to 18. I was like, but I didn't know who was winning. And I'm thinking, well, that's strange. I was like, I assume it's William and Mary because they're the 2.5-point road favorite. And then I realized it was not. It was Campbell. To put this in perspective, though, a couple hours before the game, William Mary's leading scorer and rebounder and best big man had food poisoning. Collier did not play.
Yep.
They're also without their point guard. So, and it was also a terrible spot for the Tribe because they were coming off their home Gold Rush game against Monmouth, where they honored the former coach Tony Shaver last Saturday, came from behind to win, and they had to look at it against Charleston, as I mentioned. With that said, though, yes, Campbell is playing good basketball. 4 straight wins. They're now 6-3, and that was a big win also because it was the only time William Mary and Campbell played. And the CAA has 14 teams now. Like you said, it's the Coastal. There's so many damn teams we can't keep track, and not everybody plays twice. So it's kind of unfair. Campbell will have the head-to-head tiebreaker because the top 4 teams get a double bye. So it's very important that these teams keep winning. Campbell's in excellent current form, and I don't think they take their foot off the gas. It's a momentum play here, coming off excellent games. In fact, 4 of their best games have been in a row here. So really tough to fade them at home here. And by the way, William Mary played Hofstra about a month ago. I turned that game on early January, and they were up 41-17. So 2 extreme results based on a common opponent would probably favor Campbell in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have, I watched them play in that Hofstra game, and they are shooting the lights out here right now. And if those shots start not to fall, then we can have a different question here. All right, Merril, we got just a couple of more here. A couple of late night games. I believe it was the St. Mary's Gonzaga question I saw pop up a few times. And of course, that's, for years, St. Mary's was the biggest obstacle for the Zags, right? That was the one team that if the Zags could end up rolling through, then they were in pretty good shape, but I don't know. Looks like this ain't the same old Zags team, but it ain't the same old St. Mary's either. So what do you think we're going to get in this one here tonight?
Well, it's also not the same old West Coast Conference, right?
Yeah.
Who do they have now? Washington State, Oregon State, some other teams playing well. So if you look at the net ratings right now, Gonzaga is like 16th and St. Mary's is 25th. And neither one is ranked to the top 25. So this did not make my top 25 video. And I had to double check that. In fact, you got to dig pretty deep into the extended ratings. They're 31st and 32nd in the votes right now in the AP top 25, but they're both top 25 in net ratings. So something has to give for what it's worth. And that just shows another reason why I don't put a lot of stock into the votes. I just do it for the videos, and it does give you some edges from a handicapping perspective sometimes. But these are 2 teams that are better than their non-ranking shows. Whoever wins this game, maybe they crack the top 25 next week. We look at Gonzaga. They're coming in off of momentum, back-to-back momentum wins. I talked about Oregon State being in the conference now. They just beat them by 38 points at home. They beat Portland by 43 the game before that. So they bounced back strong off of 2 losses. Their offensive efficiencies were off the chart in those last 2 games. 150s, 2 of the best any teams had in the country, and they did it in back-to-back games. So the question is, can St. Mary's slow them down? Because that's what they're going to have to do. Once again, I think this side and total are somewhat correlated in this game because Gonzaga's offense is hitting on all cylinders, but this is a huge step up in defensive class here. Fast versus slow, my feeling. Normally, I think slow teams can slow them down. I would normally side towards St. Mary's in this matchup. That's usually what I do every year, but I kept it off the card just because Gonzaga's offense, honestly, is about as good current form as I've seen from any team all season.
Yeah, no, I think that's 144.5 is on a Gonzaga game, and it's
dropped. Joe, what's interesting about this is St. Mary's briefly opened as a 1-point favorite. They're now 2.5 dog, but the totals come down from 148.5 to 144.5, 145. So there again, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you like Gonzaga, you think they're going to win a half-court slowdown game. A little bit of a confliction there between the moves.
Yeah, kind of strange for sure. All right, one more, Merril, we got coming in. There were some questions. I guess Arizona State is a game also coming up. There were a few questions about these 2 teams here. It's always a good battle when they go at it, but do we trust Arizona at this point, Merril, to continue to hold serve, or is Arizona State maybe the way we should be looking in this one?
It's interesting. Arizona's not playing nearly as fast as they have in years past. They're top 60, top 70 in tempo. And that's still fast for most teams, but this is a team that was top 5 at some points last year. Arizona State, middle of the pack in tempo. I will say Arizona's a better offense and defense of a team when you're looking at efficiencies. Now, Arizona State is a good dog defensively. They're top 30, but they're barely 100 in offensive efficiency. So it really comes down to if they can score or not in this game. Arizona could be a little flat. They're coming off a big win against Iowa State in overtime, but that was last Monday. So they've had 4 days off in between. Had it been like a Thursday game, it would worry me more having to win at home in overtime and then travel. 3 straight wins and pretty good current form here. Meanwhile, Arizona State got back on track against Colorado barely by 2. They had lost 5 of their previous 6 games and in conference play. And when stepping up in class, they just played Iowa State the game before that. They lost by 15. So that recent common opponent doesn't bode well. It is a rival situation, obviously, rival home dog here with Arizona State. But still, I think Arizona's a better team on both ends of the court, and they should be fully focused here.
Like that. Yeah, I agree with you there. Now, Merril, 140 some odd college hoops games, a bunch of NBA. Don't know if you've already dove into the big game next Sunday, but what is available over at your page at WagerTalk.com today?
Yeah, it's the first weekend without meaningful football in over 6 months since August. College All-Star game does not count. The Pro Bowl, when they're pulling flags off each other, definitely doesn't count. So, yeah, basketball is where the money is this weekend. We will have a ton of NFL Super Bowl information next week, so be sure to click subscribe, click the bell when those videos go up, including my Super Bowl Fade the Public video next week. But in the meantime, check out my top 25 college basketball video here on Wager Talk TV. Also, tons of solo videos, including that Kentucky-Arkansas game tonight. Also, 3 advanced games for tomorrow on Sunday. It'll be up later tonight. I am doing weekend content because basketball is here, and I had 4 best bets this Saturday for my clients at WagerTalk.com. You could get them for free because right now the Super Bowl to Super Bowl special is live, and here's how it works. You get the Super Bowl 59 next Sunday through next year's Super Bowl 60. It's exactly 365 days of all sports. But if you sign up in advance this week, you're getting the next week for free. In fact, if you sign up today on Saturday, you're getting the next 8 days and nights for free. And oh, by the way, on top of that, an additional $800 discount off the normal price. That gets it down to $23 a week, $3 a day, about $1 a play. Put that in perspective. My 4 best bets today were each 25. A one-day pass is 39. With this special, you're getting a full week for $23 a week. That's less than the cost of one play. And you're getting it for the next year plus because the next 8 days are included for free. No promo code needed. If you're with me last year, you won 133 units on all sports best bets. That was number 1 at Wager Talk. We had doubled our bankroll by August last year. I'm looking to do it again this year. Get on board. It's a great time of the year. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And oh, by the way, daily free plays. I've got a free NBA play for tonight on the page right now as well. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker. Shortcut WT.buzz/SM.
There you go. Steve Merril, R1L. Get out of here, Merril. We appreciate you stopping by. And that about does it here, guys, as we appreciate the time always. Dan, I don't know if you can throw up the link there to the Steam Room for VR. I believe that is all set to go right now with VR. And I know some of you guys that are in the YouTube chat room, you can check that out there. SR2125, WT.buzz/SR2125. You can hop on over there as VR will be there all day long hanging out with you guys. And we appreciate those of you who hung out with us, joined us here today. Big Daddy in the house, Abby, Simon there, Bill Sandoval. You guys are the best. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up on the way out. Hit that subscribe button. We certainly do appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow. Lot of NFL props we're going to start breaking down tomorrow. We'll hear from the guys from the Westgate. We'll let you know exactly what it is that they are getting as far as bets, as far as the maybe some of the sharper sides with the NFL props. We'll talk more college hoops tomorrow, NBA, and get you to make it a pretty profitable weekend. That's what it's all about here on Last Call on Wager Talk. So appreciate you all. Best of luck with the plays today, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow for another edition of Last Call. Good luck today. We'll see you again soon.